So now the candidates have had their say, and what we want to do right now is take a few minutes to unpack what we heard. And John, Nina, we heard a lot about, obviously the questions were about the police department. Two of the first questions had to do whether they would defund the police or back the blue. And all of the candidates that were part of our forum tonight, they all said that they support the blue emphatically. And I don't know if that's a surprise to anybody. John?
I think if you're a police officer in the city of Corpus Christi, you're probably happy
Sure.
with the way those candidates responded. None of them wanted to be on the wrong side of the police. They all wanted to say, hey, we are the police officers' friends. At least one, Mr. Villa did mention, he kind of straight away said, no, we need to train them better.
Right.
There are some gaps. So he was willing to go that far, but the rest of them, they wanted to stay on the good side of the column.
Sure, and I think one of them, he says, it was John Medina who says, the police may not support me, but I support them, he said, you know, but pretty much everybody kind of staying in that line. Desalination was certainly a topic that I think we've been hearing a lot about this lately. I mean, desalination is something that we've been talking about since 2013. But Nina, your take on when the candidates were talking about desal?
Well, this has been a controversial topic. The candidates seem to be split on the desalination topic. For those of you unfamiliar with desalination, droughts in 2010 and 2013 forced the city to begin looking for alternative water sources. In 2014, a multidisciplinary group recommended seawater desalination, which is the removal of dissolved salts from seawater. The process makes seawater safe for human consumption, but it can be quite expensive and also raises environmental concern because of brine, the discharge produced by desalination. Recently, council had a meeting where 10 companies presented alternatives like groundwater supply and wastewater reuse. No decision has been made yet, so it's going to be, well, interesting, you know, to see where this goes after elections.
Yeah, what was interesting there about the desal plant is that you had quite a few candidates who said no, and then you had some that were talking about, yes, that they wanted desal, but they wanted more information about it. One of the things that Mayor Joe McComb pointed out regarding the desalination plant is that we need a plan in our city to deal with the drought and to deal with maybe if we don't have a water source. And I think that is definitely the key. And a lot of the candidates agree that we do need to have a source of water because, I mean, John, you live in Austin. Obviously, you work for the Caller Times and you cover politics. But just in the last couple of years, we went through a big drought where we had to ration water. And so the plan is, how do we not go through that? And some of the candidates talked about maybe having a desal plant, but having industry pay for it.
Yeah, that was interesting to me too. And correct me if I'm wrong, I did not hear anybody call for massive water conservation. Mr. Rodriguez did mention he's from the Sierra Club. Implicit in that is that he's going to be an environmentalist voice on there. But he didn't come right out and say, hey, Corpus Christi, maybe not so much watering the grass, maybe not so much just wasting water for the sake of using it up. So that struck me as an opportunity that was not addressed.
Sure, and that's a really good point. We also asked the candidates about the budget. Now, what's interesting about the current budget right now is that we are not going to see a tax increase in the city of Corpus Christi in 2021. And you know, we're coming out of a pandemic. And what the mayor said is that taxes are not going up because this is not the time to raise taxes. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the budget and what they had to say.
I think they all on the same platform, you know, agreed on the fact that there's no need, or they did not raise the taxes. And I know that one of the candidates, Paulette, mentioned the $1 billion budget, and you know, not including these raising the taxes for our residents.
It was interesting because Pancho Villa brought up another hot topic, which is always city streets. What he said is that he feels that there's construction everywhere, but he never sees anyone working.
Well, yes, there are actually several projects currently underway, and we report on streets often. In fact, the city has been investing in equipment to bring more street projects in-house, and the city has started so many projects they're actually negotiating their asphalt projects.
What's interesting is that we do have one street that is getting topped with new asphalt, and that is Glendale Drive. That street was actually rated a 0 out of 100. It's the lowest that you could score, but that street right now is getting fixed. We also have somebody here from Dallas that was brought in from the Fort Worth area that Peter Zanoni brought in to take over the streets department. Also speaking about budget, Priscilla Gonzalez, it was interesting what she said about dealing with the city's finances, and she gave the example that she refinanced her car loan from 6% to I think 1.9, something like that. And so she said that she would take that approach with the city budget. So some interesting things that our candidates had to say tonight.